Happy day students. Welcome to SAN Academy group of schools, PALLIKARANI, Science, and today we are going to discuss about the topic Chapter 3 Synthetic Fibers and Plastics Part 2. As we have discussed in detail about synthetic fibers, different type of synthetic fibers and the advantages and disadvantages of synthetic fibers in part 1. In this part we are going to discuss about another synthetic material which is nothing but plastic, which has become a something without which we cannot live. And what are these plastics actually? Plastics are actually a synthetic material which can be molded or set into any desired shape when soft and then hardened to produce articles or substances. Some plastics have linear and some plastics have cross-linked polymers. So plastics are also nothing but polymers like synthetic fibers, and these plastic articles are available in all possible shapes and sizes because they can be molded or set into any desired shape when it is soft, and then in that particular shape it can be hardened to produce articles of various shapes and sizes. And these plastics are, as it is a polymers, they have same type of arrangement of units, or also they have cross-linked arrangement of units. When they have same type of arrangement of subunits, it is called as a linear arrangement, and whereas when they have cross-linked type of arrangement of units, it is called as cross-linked arrangement, as you can see in figure A and figure B. Now, what are the two types of plastics? Generally, plastics can be classified into two types. One is thermoplastic and the other is thermosetting plastics. So what are thermoplastics? So thermoplastic material is one in which a plastic material that can be melted repeatedly, that is n number of times by heating, and can be molded again and again, that is it can be remolded into different shapes, and that is called as thermoplastic or thermoplastic material. Coming to thermosetting plastics, it is a plastic substance which once set, they do not soften on heating, and hence it is called as thermosetting plastics. That is, once they are melted and they come to a set or a fixed shape, and after which they cannot be remelted or they cannot be remolded again and again. Coming to the property of a thermoplastic, it becomes soft on heating and hard on cooling. And these plastics can be molded into toys, beads, buckets, telephones, and television cases. Example of thermoplastics are polyethylene, polyvinyl chloride, and polystyrene. Whereas shower curtains and pipes are also most often made of PVC, that is polyvinyl chloride. Whereas coming to thermosetting plastics, these thermosetting plastics can be used only once, and hence we can say that cannot be recycled. And they are used in situations where resistance to heat is important. That is, whenever a material which is made out of plastic has to be in a condition where it is completely exposed to heat, then we have to prefer only materials which are made up of thermosetting plastics, so that they will not get melt when it is exposed to heat. And examples of thermosetting plastics are bakelite, melamine, and urea formaldehyde, and they are used in situation where resistance to heat is important. So now let us have a quick comparison between thermoplastic and thermosetting plastics. Thermoplastics, they soften at 70 degrees Celsius to 90 degrees Celsius, whereas thermosetting plastics, they do not soften easily. Coming to strength, when we take strength as a parameter, thermoplastics, they are comparatively weaker, whereas thermosetting plastics, they are comparatively stronger. When you look into the picture, all the plates as well as the switchboards are made out of what? Thermosetting plastics, even the handles of the cookware. And you would have noticed that they do not break easily like other toys, that is plastic toys which you may be using for playing. Coming to reusability, thermoplastics can be reused after melting, whereas thermosetting plastics cannot be remelted or reused. Coming to flexibility, thermoplastics are flexible. For example, if you get a disposable water bottle, that is, if you're going to get a Bisleri water bottle and after drinking the water you crush it and you play with it, right? But whereas when you get a PET plastic water bottle from the supermarket, are you able to crush it? No, right? This clearly indicates that thermoplastics are flexible, whereas thermosetting plastics are hard and rigid. And now let us discuss a few characteristics of plastics. Plastics are generally poor conductor of electricity and heat, and that is why plastics are generally preferred in order to use insulators when it is finding its role in making up the circuits or electric wirings and etc. For example, you all have learnt about circuit diagrams. In this figure, they have given in this particular place a conductor which can be a metal which allows the current to flow, and hence you can see the bulb glowing, whereas in this figure they have replaced this metal conductor with a plastic pipe, and you can see clearly the bulb is not glowing. This 100% indicates that plastic pipes are not able to conduct electricity, or we can say that it is a bad conductor of electricity. The other characteristics of plastics are they do not react with air, water and with many other chemicals, and this property of plastic is what enabling us to use plastic containers for various storage purposes. As you can see, many of the chemicals like various medicines and the cleaning agents are being stored in the plastic containers, and they are being marketed and sold to consumers, and these plastics are quite light in weight, which enables people to have or handle plastics easily, and they are quite portable and they are durable. That is, the life of plastic is comparatively high to other substances which are made up of any other material, and they are quite economical and affordable, and they are very strong too. And unlike iron, plastics do not rust. And apart from this, we do have certain other properties of plastics. And these plastics can be easily molded to any shape or even passed through a fine pore forming a fiber. And plastics can be transparent, which allows us to have a clear vision of what is there inside the container or a storage box. And it can be translucent or opaque, based on which it can be used in order to make decorative items. And plastics are non-conductors of heat and electricity, and hence used as insulator, as we saw in the previous slides. And exclusively thermosetting plastics are fire resistant, but whereas the thermoplastics are highly inflammable, they do catch fire easily. And now let us discuss about the disadvantages of plastics. The main and the important disadvantage of plastic is it is a non-biodegradable substances. That is, the plastics cannot be degraded by a natural means with the help of the microbes or any other sort of natural means. And it takes many years to get decomposed, and sometimes do not get decomposed at all. Thus, plastic is not environment friendly. And apart from this, when we burn plastics, it gives off poisonous fumes, and exclusively PVC on burning gives fumes of hydrogen chloride. And recycling of plastics is quite expensive. It requires a large amount of human power, mechanical power, as well as investment, monetary investment, and they are non-renewable resources. That is, the raw material out of which plastics are made are quite non-renewable resources, and the poisonous gaseous product produced by decomposition of plastic can even cause cancer, which is a deadly disease, and they harm the environment by choking the drain. For example, whenever the plastics are left just like that on the road, what happens? They will be carried away with the rainwater, and they cover up the drains through which the rainwater has to drain, or else the sewage water has to drain out, and hence they result in choking the drain. And even when these plastics are disposed like as it is shown in the picture on the banks or nearby the water body, it creates a huge hazardous effect for the organisms that are living in the aquatic environment, as well as the animals which are finding their own food on the open land. And hence we can say plastics are not environment friendly because they cannot be disposed or decomposed easily. So in this slide, we are going to discuss about the 5R principles, how to minimize the usage of plastics and to save our environment. Why we should give much emphasis on this particular concept? Because the extensive and wide use of plastic has now become a big threat for our environment. So we have to follow the 5R practices in order to minimize the usage of plastic and to save our environment. And the first R stands for reduce. So that you can minimize the usage of plastics. And how can you implement that in your day-to-day life? Next time when you're going for shopping and when you're carrying the things back to home, please carry a cute, comfy cloth bags so that you can carry the things safely back to home. At the same time, you're not going to add on plastic waste to the environment. And now coming to reuse, make sure whatever bottles or whatever containers, plastic containers you're getting as a compliment along with the food products, whatever you're buying from the supermarkets, please try to reuse it as many times as possible, either for dry storage or else make it into a decorative items and try to decorate with your houses with those materials. Coming to recycle, and if you have broken plastics and plastics container or any material made out of plastics which you are sure after this you cannot use it again, try to give it to a recycling vendor so that they will be using it in order to make some other product which can be made out of plastics, so that the plastic will not get dumped on the surface of the earth. So repurpose and recover. Try to use or find the purpose for the plastics whatever you're having and try to use it again and again and recover new things from that. And coming to the last R, it is refuse. Try to avoid using new plastics or try to avoid getting plastic substances as much as possible. So if we practice these 5R principles, we can give assurance that we will not pollute the earth furthermore with plastic waste or plastic dump. And as I told you, reduce. How to reduce? The best way to reduce is to say no to plastics and go on to cloth bags and to some other materials which can be recycled and which can be used again and again. At the same time, it is going to be environmental friendly. And the other one is reuse. As I told you, you can try to make a decorative items or some other useful items so from the plastics whatever you are having, so that it is not going to be thrown as a trash on the planet Earth. And in that way also we can make sure that we are not going to pollute the earth with plastics. And third is recycle. Try to give the unused plastic materials to the recycling vendors like your disposable water bottles, medicine bottles, etc. so that they will take it to a proper recycling unit where it can be remolded into any shape so that it can be converted into a usable product and it can be reused again and again, so that in this way also we can avoid dumping the earth with plastic trash. Repurpose. So if you have a plastic container, find out how you can use it or how purpose for what purpose you can use it again. You can bring in your creativity and artistic talent in order to find the purpose or for which you can reuse it again and again. And one more important way how we can reduce and save our environment from plastic trash is refuse. Refuse the usage of more plastics. Try to manage with whatever products you are having with plastics so far. So say no to using plastic products which will harm the environment. You can start it right from your home. Even whenever your mother is going out or whenever you're going for a family trip, make sure that you're not going to get anything in a single use plastic containers or holders. You can either take your own containers or you can make sure that you're going to get it only from the environmental friendly containers. And in this way, we have to start the initiative from us in order to protect the environment from plastic pollution. Thank you, students.